Spark Books here. Today, I'm going to explain the book Storyworthy by Matthew Dix. Take care, enjoy the book, and have a nice day. Storyworthy 2018 explains how to craft a story for maximum impact. From intriguing beginnings to satisfying endings and everything in between, these sparks provide simple and effective tips and techniques for engaging your audience and bringing entertainment, authenticity, and immediacy to your storytelling. Key idea number 1, great stories adapt and feature the storyteller. The author teaches everyone how to tell personal stories. The author believes narrative improves communication for everyone, from salespeople trying to woo clients to grandparents trying to connect with their grandkids. To be a captivating storyteller, you must follow several rules. First, your story should show change over time, not just a series of remarkable incidents. Don't worry, this adjustment might be minimal and doesn't need to show personal growth. Your story must change. Even the weakest movies shift characters amid the action. Vacation, drinking, and other one-note stories are anecdotes. Anecdotes recount remarkable, heartbreaking, or amusing events that don't change us. Without change, you can't expect your listeners to develop a greater connection with you or alter their minds about something vital. You should also star in your tales. Your audience wants to hear about you, not your closest friend. Why? Hearing someone's tale in person is sensitive, gritty, and immediate. Your narrative takes more guts than someone else's. Your audience will appreciate hard realities and genuineness. Importantly, you can narrate someone else's narrative from your perspective. The author helped Holocaust survivors' children relay their parents' tales through voices of hope. They learned how to structure their stories so they were rooted in their lives and included their parents' experiences. Thus, their stories became more interesting since they focused on how their parents' experiences had shaped their own lives. Key idea number 2, just tell your story. Dick's dinner test determines good stories. Ask yourself, is this a story I would tell a friend over dinner? If not, the story is probably bad. Remember that how you perform a tale in front of a larger audience, such as coworkers or churchgoers, should be the same as how you tell it to a buddy. Consider how some storytellers use odd gestures to highlight their story, such fluttering their hands to show how an idea came to them. Would you make these unusual dinner table gestures? Unlikely. You're telling your narrative, not performing a one-person play. On stage and in writing, people embellish their stories with unnecessary poetic flourishes and over-the-top hand gestures. Again, would you eat supper with someone who said the red roses were very beautiful in their sparkling green garden? Maybe once, right? Storytelling, not poetry. Start your story with superfluous dialogue. Imagine starting a dinner party anecdote with "Dad, don't go into my room." Or "Capo." It would sound strange, and you wouldn't be invited for dinner again. Many stage and literary storytellers start their stories this way. Instead, introduce your tale and characters before conversation. Importantly, storytellers make one critical mistake. They think their audience wants a performance rather than a tale. False. Though your audience will certainly realize that some planning has gone into your story, they'll want to feel that it's rehearsed. They want to hear your heart. Unfortunately, these ready-made theatrical or lyrical embellishments will shatter this illusion and break the connection between you and your audience. Key idea number 3, good stories revolve on a 5-second moment. One startling reality about narrative is crucial. This great secret. Every good story is about a 5-second moment. Your story is meant to clarify this moment. Which 5-second moment? We mean life-altering moments. You may find love or lose it. You may forgive, despair, or alter your mind on anything vital. These moments, sudden, strong, and small, build great stories. Unconvinced. The author's genuine narrative has caused many listeners cry. Dix was in a catastrophic vehicle wreck as a teenager that sent his upper torso through the glass and slammed his legs into the dashboard. He was hauled from the vehicle and had to be resuscitated by paramedics. Is this near-death experience the 5-second tearjerker? Surprisingly, no. Afterward, surprisingly, the author's parents didn't rush to the hospital that night. They checked the car. When his transforming 5 seconds began, his teenage buddies appeared in the waiting room to cheer him on as he was brought into surgery. Why does this moment move audiences more than the prior near-death experience? Because everyone can connect to the author's life-changing incident. Most people will never encounter a near-fatal crash, loneliness, rejection, and friendship power. The author's experience resonates with viewers since we've all felt this. Afterward, people recall that quick transformation from feeling alone to feeling loved, not the vehicle catastrophe. Key idea number 4, your story's beginning is in its ending. After finding your story's transforming 5-second moment, you'll know how it concludes. Why? This moment is the story's heart, climax, and purpose, thus it should be at the end. The hardest part of storytelling is yet to come. After ending your story, you must start it. Importantly, starting your own story requires reviewing your life and choosing the most enlightening occasions. Most of us have several moments to pick from, making this tough. How to choose? First, recall your story's ending. Your 5-second moment, what happens? Ask yourself, what is the exact opposite of this moment of revelation, understanding, or transformation? Simply put, your story's beginning and end must be opposites. This conflict creates a satisfying narrative arc, which shows change through time. In a romantic comedy, a young woman is dismissed from a bank, and her banker boyfriend runs off with her best friend. Isn't this film's ending known? Our depressed heroine will likely fall in love with an artist, not a banker. She may operate a bakery instead of a bank. Finally, she will find a new best friend, perhaps a gay male. Thus, to predict a movie's ending, find the opposite of the first quarter hour. Your narrative shouldn't differ. Key idea number 5, do's and don'ts for tale immersion are important. A good story requires audience participation. Where? Your story's events. You want readers to feel like they're in your story, seeing, hearing, and feeling what you felt. Don't worry if this seems overwhelming. Luckily, there are several key do's and don'ts that will help you immerse your audience. Present tense helps you engage your audience. Start with I am on a train, and my whole body is shivering with its forward momentum, not I was on a train last year. Present tense storytelling increases immediacy. They ride that train with you, watching you. Present tense draws the reader into the storyteller's time and brings them closer to critical moments. You know how to engage your audience, but what should you avoid? Avoid rhetorical questions. Doing so merely invites your audience to mentally answer the question. This turns your storytelling session into a Q&A. Your audience is reminded that they are in the room with you, thinking about that rhetorical question. Storytellers should avoid addressing the audience. Avoid this. Ever. Okay folks, have I got a story for you? Ends the immersive experience for the listener. They quickly notice the narrator, that they are being addressed, and the audience members on each side. Don't speak to or challenge your audience. Tell your story in the present tense. Key idea number 6, swearing and cursing hurts storytelling. The author carefully chooses words for his blog stories. Why? Because he values his storytelling reputation. He rarely swears or criticizes his boss or coworkers. Importantly, you must be attentive about what and how you communicate to the audience if you want to be a good storyteller. Your words matter, whether you're at a wedding or a theater. Thus, refrain from cursing. Swearing-free stories are more popular. The author's stories have reached millions thanks to The Moth, a popular podcast and radio show. Because his stories were practically swear-free, the program could use them. Swearing in stories will prevent you from speaking at corporate, family, or school functions. So think twice before dropping the F-bomb. You may detonate your career. If you want to wow with your narration, avoid profanity too. Avoid profanity. Vulgarity includes describing sexual or other bodily fluid activities. By explaining these things in depth, you may be sickening your audience rather than helping them visualize them. One of the author's pals told a story slam about having a sick stomach on a first date and ruining the sofa. He detailed the smell, texture, and color of this awful scenario instead of just implying it. The judges graded his story poorly that evening. Make sure your story's language aren't profane. Restraint can boost your storytelling career. Mastering storytelling requires practice. Use the present tense, avoid vulgarity, and add a meaningful change to make a good story.
To view more content like this, subscribe. Don't forget to like and turn on notifications. The channel really benefits from it. I appreciate you being here.